All right, welcome everyone to a successful graduate interview with Ann MarieMorales. Ann Marie and I were talking the other day, and I said, wouldn't it be wonderful to interview you and talk to you about you, your background, your experience with the school, and some of the deeper spiritual themes that you and I share in common. So, welcome to this interview for being a graduate. I wonder if you'd like to talk about you. Just tell us about yourself first, some of your background.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I am so eternally grateful for having encountered your work. And, it has changed my life totally.
Thank you. I love seeing the diplomas in the wall in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm glad to hear it helped to change your life. Yeah, tell us about you. What was your background that brought you? Who were you before you found the school?
Well, I'm kind of a Jane of all trades. I've done so many different things in my life. But I've always just had an interest in love, God, spirituality. I've been a Jane of all trades, truly. But before I encountered your school and was drawn to learn about hypnotherapy, I had just left my career as an art teacher. So I was a New York State elementary art teacher for about 18 years. And as life would have it, I left in New York and came back down here to Florida to take care of my mother, basically. And I had a choice to make. I had had a spiritual awakening about 9 years ago, and I left everything that I knew behind. Like every system of my life collapsed that
Mm,
I thought was real. My marriage, my job, like all these systems that were in place that I
hmm
thought were always going to be there for me, including my job as a teacher.
hmm
I had just gotten my tenure after working 4 years in the public school system, and I was laid off because what do? They lay off art and music teachers first thing, right? When
hmm
trouble happens. So at that point in my life, everything kind of collapsed, which allowed me to, I guess, be teachable, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Uh, and that's when I encountered the teachings of a Course in Miracles teacher named Tina Spalding, and she is a trance channeler. And I came from Catholicism, and it was my life, basically. It was my life because I was a cantor in the Catholic Church. And I actually did it from childhood up through my 50s, working with the Catholic Church to the point where I was principal cantor at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. So, I mean, this wasn't just something that I did every weekend because, I like to sing. This was my devotion in my life.
Mm,
But having lived in the Catholic faith for so long, and then having gone through this collapse of all these systems, which one of them was religion, it kind of left me floundering with who Jesus was.
mm, mm.
So, and I knew that I loved Jesus because I didn't just sing because I was good at it. I sang because I lived it. I
Uh-huh.
loved Jesus. I loved worshiping and I loved God. So there was that part of me. And then there was the part of me that was like, wait a minute, I did all the rosaries, but my marriage didn't get saved. It's
Mm,
like there's this incongruency within
hmm
me about that. So I found A Course in Miracles, and it literally saved my life
mm,
because there was more systems that were failing, and I literally didn't want to live. I didn't want to live. So the Course in Miracles came in right at the right time. And I began to do the lessons of A Course in Miracles, became involved in this beautiful spiritual community. And I also became a Reiki Master teacher around that time, which is going from Catholicism to
mm,
Reiki is like,
hmm
whoa.
Yeah.
But, the universe provides synchronicities to teach us, to entice us along the way and show us what our truth is. And so even though I was still singing at church, I went to take this Reiki course because there was a synchronicity that I could not deny. I
Mm-hmm.
literally could not deny it. So, and when I learned Reiki 1, 2, and 3, it became me. It was like I knew it
Mm-hmm.
instinctively that it was real. And it literally shifted my entire world. So I'm going through divorce and all these different things, getting laid off, getting rehired. And I quickly became disillusioned with the education system.
Mm-hmm.
And, in New York, you need a master's degree. So, I mean, I had invested in getting a master's degree in education, and I loved teaching, but like, I didn't want to be in that system anymore. There's
Mm-hmm.
something about that system that was not jiving with who I was spiritually. And so I leave New York. My mother's very elderly and she was very ill a few years ago. And it prompted me to make the decision to leave New York. And I was also at this time channeling. And I began to channel beautiful beings of high vibration and something called light language. If you're familiar with that, it's like tongues that
Yeah.
they talk about in the Bible. So I had made a choice to retire, not by years in, but just by age from the New York City or from the New York State school that I was a part of, that school system. And I moved my mother back to Florida so she could live out her years here in her own home. And I could devote a little bit more time to her. So I'm here in Florida. I know it's long and convoluted, but please be patient. So I'm here in Florida and I had to literally make a choice. So I was doing the Reiki work, I was doing the channeling, and I started a YouTube channel about 7 years ago or so. So I already had like this following of people that came to me for my energy work. They came to me for my channeling work. And I knew already that I had to get out of education. So I came back to Florida and I started to, I had to make a decision. So there was a part of me, the root chakra, the lower 3 chakras were like, well, you could get a really steady income if you become a teacher again. But then there was the higher energy part of me that was like, no, you've got to do something in what you're called to do. You're called to be a healer. You're called to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at this point where I was getting these indications that my energy work was limited.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, the universe brought me clients, this one client in particular who was like from California. And I don't know how the heck they found me. I don't know where they found me, but this particular client needed something I couldn't provide.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't cheap, they paid me good money for my energy work. But I left that particular appointment going, I need more.
Uh-huh.
There has to be more out there. And don't ask me how, but I thought hypnotherapy. Because in A Course in Miracles, I know that everything is your beliefs, your thoughts, your mind. And I had gone through a recent health crisis where I worked with a medical intuitive who did the Quimby method with me, which is something that you also teach us in the school. And it worked. Like when she would talk to me and tell me, she would say, okay, when you have this symptom, ask yourself, what belief do you have that is causing this symptom? And she said, let it bubble up from your subconscious. And once it came up, she had me say a certain amount of, say these phrases, and it would go away instantaneously. It was miraculous. Okay. So all this led me to Google, and I just put in hypnotherapy schools. And lo and behold, I'm less than an hour from your school in Tampa. And when I went online and I saw that you also taught A Course in Miracles, I was like, oh my God,
Mm.
this is just too much. It's
Uh,
just too meant to be.
mhm.
And the rest is history.
Nice. Thank you. It's wonderful to hear somebody's story, right? Like, where do you come from and how
Yeah.
did you get here? So yeah, I hear the background in education, art, of course, Catholicism, being a cantor,
Mm-hmm.
Reiki,
Mm-hmm.
and then, everything else, session about based on Quimby's work. And then you start realizing,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like what session you had, there's got to be something more. I'm missing some pieces of the puzzle. And as a
Yeah.
Course in Miracles person, mind is the central piece of the puzzle, right? We have to look at the mind. So
Yes.
that's beautiful. So you found us. What was your experience like going through the school?
It was extraordinary. It was it was divinely orchestrated. I really enjoyed it. It was a long process,
Mm,
but that long process gave me, like, there was no excuses not to learn everything that there was to know.
hmm
Your methods are so thorough, and I so appreciated all the resources, all the videos, all the examples. Um, and for somebody who has gone through a lifetime of education and was in education, I so appreciated
mm,
what you had to offer. And so there's no coincidence that with every level that I learned, with every section that we completed,
mm,
there were profound changes in my own life.
hmm
Just my frequency was going up, my vibe was going up, I was learning about myself. And yeah, it was another transformative experience in my life. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I love because your background in education that you can say good things about our
Mm-hmm.
school because, yeah, it means a lot to
Yeah,
me. So I
absolutely.
appreciate that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're a Course in Miracles person, I wonder what value you found in our school in hypnotherapy, but in relationship to A Course in Miracles. Because one of my questions for you, which I think you already answered, is why our
Mm-hmm.
school? Well, one, you were in Florida, right? We have a Temple location.
Mm-hmm.
But two, Course in Miracles, that's what made you light up. So I wonder if you want to go a little bit deeper into, yeah, Course in Miracles and hypnotherapy.
Oh, okay. So, we're all here on this planet to learn about ourselves, right? We're all here to figure things out. And A Course in Miracles is merging this concept, re educating or remembering who we are as
Mhm,
members of the body. If you want to use a Christian term, the body of Christ. Okay. We are part of the Christ conscious
mhm,
body.
mhm,
We are the true body of Christ, right? That's us, everyone. And through hypnotherapy, there's a sacred process. I think it's very sacred. It's not just something scientific, although science can back it up. I
mhm,
believe it is a sacred alchemy that happens when you explore the mind
mhm,
and really get to the root of beliefs.
mhm,
And you see finally how these beliefs manifest in your life. And you're like,
mhm,
I didn't even know that was in there.
mhm,
And one thing about the training, when we get together to do the practicals, the
mhm,
weekends, first of all, I was so happy to see, and I did it in person, which I've told you already was just magnificent. It was so
mhm,
beautiful to meet these students,
mhm,
journeyers with me on this
mhm,
process. Number one of my things was, my gosh, I'm in my mid 50s. I have to go back to school. Are you
mhm,
kidding me? But there were other women like myself there,
uh-huh,
which was brilliant and very confirmative to me. Like, okay, you're not the only one. This happens, right?
yeah,
And when we're working on each other using the different systems techniques, hypnotherapy techniques, it was so evident that we don't even know what we hold in our own mind.
mhm,
And you can do it, you can get into your mind in different ways. A Course in Miracles is just that, it's self introspection.
mhm,
You're always asked, why did I do that? Why do I react to this? Like,
mhm,
that's how I understand A Course in Miracles. We're mirroring our world. Our world is a mirror of who we
uh-huh,
are. And so it's a reflective universe, right? So for me, A Course in Miracles taught me how to pull back from the
Mhm.
reactive nature of humanity
Mhm.
and be observant and ask questions and ask why.
Mhm.
So that to me is exactly what we do
Mhm.
in hypnotherapy, is that we go to the why. We talk to the emotions. The emotions
Mhm.
are the key, and
Mhm.
oftentimes to the tragedies, to the, I call them hooks, the hook, the memory hook,
Mhm.
that's buried so very, very deep that we don't even know is there.
Mhm.
And so when we do this very sacred process of hypnotherapy, we're guiding the client to carefully excavate and heal these very, very deep traumas in a very efficient and relatively quick way.
Mhm.
I mean, I went through 6 years of A Course in Miracles and I got to a certain level, but I still got sick. And knowing that I created the sickness through
Mhm.
my beliefs that are so very deeply buried that I have no clue. I mean, I knew I needed to level up, and
Mhm.
I've done so with the techniques you have taught us.
It's
So,
beautiful. Yeah,
yay.
yeah, round of applause for sure. Yeah, yeah, you for 6 years in Course in Miracles and realizing the
Yeah,
importance of emotions, beliefs, the mind, and the subconscious, right? The
exactly.
stuff that's buried
Mm-hmm.
under the surface. At the
Yeah.
same time, what I found with people who go through spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, all these different things, they don't necessarily tap into that place that actually most needs healing, which is the
Mm-hmm.
subconscious. And you did, and you realized just how powerful that is. So, yeah,
Yes.
beautiful. And I want to hear more about your background in channeling and how you feel like that relates to hypnotherapy. Like, how will you, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
synthesize the two? Because obviously, you're not going to let that go. I mean, part of what I love about our school and my approach is not to create more mini Matthews, to train you in
Right.
techniques, but encourage you to utilize like all of who you are with the
Mm-hmm.
techniques to be of service to others. So yeah, I wonder if you want to talk to us about channeling and hypnotherapy.
Sure. One thing that you did, which I so appreciated, because that was a big conflict of mine. Am I going to leave that all behind?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's been a part of my life. It's who I am. I am a channeler, and I do this work, this energy work. Do I have to leave it all behind in order to become a hypnotherapist?
Mm-hmm.
And you said that exact thing to me. You don't have to be another me, be you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did create a business
Mm-hmm.
where it is Ann MarieMorales hypnotherapy and
Mm-hmm.
intuitive arts. So
Nice.
I have allowed myself
Mm-hmm.
permission, gave my permission to be an and, not an or,
Good.
which is something that has come through me in other channelings, that it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be an and person, to
Yeah.
be
Mm-hmm.
a hypnotherapist and a channeler and an energy healer. In terms as to how they merge together, um, it comes in a lot of the intuition, right? You understand that when you get into this hypnotic state, it releases a lot of the barriers, the
Mm-hmm.
egoic barriers to the flow of love, to the flow of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm helping my clients, my questions are intuitive. I don't sit there and think. I trust my, let's say, my internal
Mm-hmm.
barometer of
Yeah.
what to say. And also where the channeling comes in. And I don't know if I'm channeling per se, but there's a part of our therapy called truth talk,
Mm-hmm.
and where we go in and for the eye movement therapy, there's the truth talk. And then there's also at the end of a session when we talk to our clients about future
Mm-hmm.
pacing and visualization. I really feel that that's where this intuition comes in, this guidance, this higher wisdom. And that part of it just flows out of me
Mm-hmm.
like nothing. And I'm like, yay, that was so good. I really love what I said there. And the clients really appreciate it. They're like, wow, what you said at the end was so beautiful. Thank you for that. I'll
Mm-hmm.
always remember that. So I think that's
Hmm.
how it's working for now. Yeah.
Nice. I really love that answer because and I think you know, have an issue with the word channeling, not the phenomena of it. I mean, there's
Hmm.
absolutely higher self, higher wisdom, non-physical beings. Can
Hmm.
they speak to us? Absolutely. But a lot of times when people say channeling, they're really just talking about intuition. They're just talking about getting out of their own way. And not to
Hmm.
say there aren't other beings who could speak through others. But
Hmm.
your answer was really the way I do hypnotherapy, which is deeply intuitive to
Hmm.
feel and, like clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, but like, bring all the senses in to know
Hmm.
what the client's presenting to me, and then kind of an intuitive way of knowing how to work through their process. But then when it's time to deliver suggestions through truth talk or at the end with future pacing, just to
Hmm.
let that wisdom flow through. And I know when I
Hmm.
started, it was a little scary to be like, really? Say that? And then I would say it, and the
Yeah.
person's like, that is exactly what I needed to hear. I was like, okay, let me just get out of the way. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
lesson that I learned
Mhm.
when I've been doing my energy work is if I doubt what I feel comes up, I
Mhm.
might as well not do this work at all.
Yeah.
I have to truly
Mhm.
trust what I'm feeling, my intuition, and not question it all. And it's never failed me. So yeah,
Yes.
we're in the same
Beautiful.
books with that. Yeah.
Nice. And I love your yes and approach. So yeah,
Hmm.
integrating A Course in Miracles and energy work. I mean, Mesmer, who kind of founded
Hmm.
this whole movement, was doing energy work. And then they were saying, yeah, that's not scientific,
Hmm.
so let's let that go. But
Hmm.
yeah, it never, to me, my background is Chinese medicine. I Reiki 1 and 2. Like I get that there's energy and I get that
Hmm.
there's a channeling phenomena. And if therapy is only just what science can tell us, and we're discounting A Course in Miracles and Quinby's work
Hmm.
with Truth Talk, we're missing something so valuable, or putting something aside, like, oh, I can't do channeling if I'm a hypnotherapist, or I can't
Right,
do Course in
right.
Miracles. And I was like, to me, the main term is synthesis, that yes and, right? That becomes something
Yeah.
so much greater. Beautiful.
Hmm.
So as you know, and I know you had a great experience with past life regression, I wonder what your
Yes.
thoughts are now that you've been through our transpersonal training about past life
Hmm.
regression, life between life work, and yeah, if you feel that's something you would be utilizing with your clients, you think it's a beneficial modality?
I think it's a really beneficial modality. I experienced probably one of the most profound healing experiences, life shifting experiences when I did the past life regression with your protocol
Hmm.
in the practicals weekend. It was something that even me, after years of metaphysical experiences, I was in
Hmm.
bliss. And I mean, I've experienced bliss before in my spiritual practice, but this was something so profound and so shifting that literally things in my life shifted.
Hmm.
Beings that I thought would never shift shifted. So it was just incredibly profound. If I am called to, yes, if my client wants to use these modalities, for sure
Hmm.
we will do them. And I do have it on my website. As you know, sometimes there are uh, situations that carry over from other lifetimes.
Hmm.
And you just can't shake it until you go back there and you figure that out through a past life regression. So, yeah, it's very profound modality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you feel that when you say like there's stuff from past lives, that we're definitely looking at stuff from past lives, or is it possible that these are just metaphorical journeys and that it helps
Mm-hmm.
us to look at what's in the subconscious? Have you come to a conclusion on what you think is happening with the modality?
Well, actually, I've experienced it myself because there
Mhm.
are things that came through me that I'm like, that's not real. Like,
Mhm.
like that doesn't, but I'm not going to question it.
Mhm.
Again, this is a very sacred thing. The mind is more than just your ability to compute things or just attached to this physical body. The
Mhm.
mind is everything, the mind is God. So it's a very sacred process.
Mhm.
And so whatever comes through, you just go with it
Mhm.
because at the end of it, you're healed anyway,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So I always tell my clients, don't overthink, just
Mhm.
process. Don't go back and analyze because if you're going to do that, then you're going to nitpick it all apart and you're going to just
Yeah.
it's kind of gonna, I don't know. So I just tell, I had a client just yesterday that we did kind of like we went to different extraterrestrial lives, let us, so that work is very
Mhm.
up in my wheelhouse as
Yeah.
well. Extraterrestrial aspects and other worlds, etc. And I told her, just integrate, just
Mhm.
be with the information. Don't go
Mhm.
back and nitpick it apart. Just be with it.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, you don't want the ego mind to kind of like go off on a tangent
Mhm.
and just kind of like scuttle the whole experience for you.
Yeah, it's the right attitude to have as a practitioner, right? Because you don't
Yeah.
want to be saying, "Hey, that can't be real." Like, I don't believe in aliens or anything like that. Rather, just
No,
honoring the
no.
client's process for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So, yeah, we went to Course in Miracles. You talked about Reiki and channeling, past lives. Do you plan on specializing in anything now that you've graduated and you're starting to see clients? Is there a certain focus for your work?
Not necessarily. I'm just going to trust the universe is going to bring me
Nice.
the exact client for me, and that the client will find the right therapist in me, hypnotherapist in me.
Hmm.
So, for whatever reason, I've been attracting a lot of older women
Hmm.
in their 70s, 80s, 90s, like older women
Uh-huh.
that need to heal abuses from their childhood.
Hmm.
I've seen quite a few of those clients, and I'm honored. I'm honored by that. And I've just really had an opportunity to use almost every modality that you have taught us so far. So I'm just open to whatever the universe brings to me, really.
Good. Sounds like the right attitude. My experience is
Yeah.
casting a really big net to just say anybody who needs hypnotherapy, here I am. And I've
Right,
also found
right.
specializing in like the one or two things you're really passionate about, like a special instance of altered state work, the alien abduction phenomena, or entity release,
Mm-hmm.
past lives. Makes it really interesting. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, even the bread and butter basic hypnotherapy can be so rewarding as well. Well, it's awesome. Are
Mm-hmm.
you doing sessions in an office or online or both?
I'm doing both,
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, we just went through a really, couple of really bad hurricanes in my neighborhood, and that kind of fueled me to get out of the home and find a space. And I got this beautiful office, and I'm thrilled to have it.
Hmm.
And I also see clients online
Hmm.
because, yeah, they come to me. So
It's
I
beautiful.
accommodate. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you got an office. I remember you told me that you did that.
Hmm.
How does it feel walking into that? I mean, I don't know if you've had an office before for Reiki or the other work you've done, but how does it feel walking into your own
Hmm.
hypnotherapy office? It's like it's your business. You're your own boss.
I love it. I can't even tell you. I remember driving the van, bringing over the furniture. Like I rented like a U-Haul van, and I'm like,
Yeah,
this is kick-ass, man.
yeah.
I'm going to my own office, and it's all my own things. I didn't really need to buy anything. These are all my possessions, my books, my
Mhm.
furniture, and it's my place of peace,
Mhm.
empowerment.
Yeah.
It's filled with light. I
Mhm.
just love it. I'm just thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Yeah.
That's great. I'm so happy for you. At the end of a day, I
Yeah.
remember when I was seeing clients full time before I opened the school, I remember seeing five clients one day and literally just in my office, like on my knees, I just like, thank you. Like this is my life. I am so grateful and to be in your own space. I've always, yeah, just loved having
Hmm.
my own office and having clients walk in.
Hmm.
At the same time, online has actually been a really valuable way to teach hypnotherapy, but to do hypnotherapy. I personally, because I live in upstate New York, even though our school is headquartered in Florida, I teach it online. I do it online. I personally don't see clients
Hmm.
anymore in an office, and I've been finding the online medium quite good, like almost
Hmm.
just as good as in person. I like give my client a hug or at least a handshake. But aside from that, I feel just as close to you as I would if we were sitting in the same
Hmm.
room. Do you find online sessions to be beneficial as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
And one of the core teachings of Reiki and Reiki 3 is the concept of the Honzaze Shonen, which is this long charactered Honzaze Shonen, which basically gives you, that tells you that there is in time, in love, basically, there is no time and space.
Hmm.
So, with that Reiki symbol, you can work over distance and
Mhm.
time. So this is very similar to that.
Mhm.
There is no separation, right? We
Mhm.
are all one. So just because you happen to be in upstate New York and me in Florida doesn't mean that the intention behind the work that we do isn't just as valid as you
Mhm.
being here on my couch. So it's all
Mhm.
the same. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In my book, The Sutras on Healing and Enlightenment, one of the chapters is called Long Distance Healing and the
Mhm.
Taking On of Karma. And here we're using Zoom, but that model says through kind of a remote viewing way of being, you can tap into your client at a distance, feel what they're feeling, intuit their thoughts, and actually, I believe, transform that within yourself to help them to transform as well. But at least with
Mhm.
Zoom, we could actually hear the verbal responses and study
Right.
faces and whatnot. That's beautiful. Awesome. I really appreciate this time. If somebody wanted to reach out to you for private sessions, how would they find you?
Yeah. Oh, well, you can reach out to me at my website, ammhypnotherapy.com. It's for Ann Marie Morales Hypnotherapy.
Mhm.
And like I said, I live in Western Florida on the Gulf Coast of Florida. And if you're nearby, come give me a visit. If not, I am available on Zoom.
Nice. Thank you. I'll come by next time in Tarpon Springs. We'll go have some Greek food because
Yay!
I know it's what it's
Fantastic.
known for.
Yes,
Beautiful.
it
I
is.
really appreciate the time. I look forward to having you now as a colleague and friend and to continue to
Thank
see
you.
how our paths grow together. So thanks so much for this time, Anne Marie, and many
You're
blessings
very
to
welcome.
practice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.